Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to look at the studio discography of Bay Area thrash titans Megadeth. So, of course, Dave Mustaine and company been around, kicking ass, taking names since, 1985, right? Many of you will remember he was an original member of Metallica, got the boot, decided to get his act together, start up his own band, and the rest, shall we say, is history. A lot of great albums. You know, the band went from being a rip-snorting thrash metal machine to, during the 90s, doing a little more kind of mainstreamy metal type of stuff, getting back to their roots and subsequent releases over the last bunch of years. Dave Mustaine has been recovering from cancer scare, so not really sure what the immediate future holds for the band, but we'll see. I'm sure he's going to come back with the guys yet again once coronavirus is settled and he's feeling better. We got all sorts of Megadeth to look forward to in the future, I'm sure. So I'm going to rank the studio albums. I don't have all of them. I've heard all of them. There's a couple that I don't own, but I've heard them numerous times, reviewed them, all that sort of thing. So I'm not going to show all of them, but I'll show you the ones that I do have. So we're going to start at the bottom. We're going to go with 1999's Risk. Took a risk, didn't work. All right. Pretty terrible album in my opinion. Don't own it, don't need it. I think most folks probably can agree that that is the worst Megadeth album. Most of the albums have plenty of good material, even the somewhat weaker ones. I'm not quite so sure about that one. So that one's going to be at the bottom of the list for me. That's number 15. We got 15 studio albums. Coming in at number 14, we're going to go with 2013 Supercollider. Not a bad album, actually. All right, this decent enough album, good number of solid tracks. I would think out of all the more recent ones coming out in the last, decade or so, probably for me the weakest one. But again, I know it's got its fans, and like I said, I don't dislike it. Coming in at number 13, we're going to go with The World Needs a Hero from 2001. Also, decent album. Got some good tracks. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do like it. All right. It's got some good stuff. We're going to go to number 12. We're going to go with The System Has Failed. All right. From 2004. Some claim this is more like a Mustaine solo album. Kind of true. All sorts of different people playing on here. But I still think there's some solid stuff on here. For the most part, it's maybe not as heavy, all right, not as thrashy as some of the other stuff, but still a pretty solid record, I think. I'm trying to think. "Kick the Chair" is probably my favorite song of this album. That is, for me, a definitely top 10-15 track from this band, I think. Maybe the rest of the album doesn't quite live up to the promise of that, but I still think overall it's a decent enough album. Coming in at number 11, we're going to go with Cryptic Writings. Okay, kind of an end of the era for the band, all right? End of that particular lineup, This is the Marty Friedman lineup, all right? So, band getting ready to make some changes, right? As seems to be the case throughout this band's history, right? Go through lots of changes, shuffling lineups and what have you. Mr. Friedman was a good fit for this band. I think this is a solid record. Again, not one of the better ones from that lineup, but still pretty damn good. Cryptic Writings from 1997. Next up at number 10, I'm going to go with 13 from 2011. Again, another pretty solid record from this band. Some have said that a lot of the more recent stuff, album to album, kind of sounds very, very similar, and that is, possibly the case. Public Enemy #1, Black Swan, good track, Sudden Death, Wrecker. I just think this is a good steamrolling album. A lot of good material on here. And this, of course, is, Chris Broderick era. I think most Megadeth albums or eras are kind of exemplified by who's the co-lead guitar player along with Dave Mustaine. So Broderick was around for a couple albums. We also have Dave Ellefson, back in the band here, and Sean Drover, very, very capable drummer. So a good lineup for the band. Not too long lasting, however, but good stuff. I like 13. Next up, coming in at number 9, we're going to go 2016 Dystopia. I dig this album. Played this quite a bit when it came out. The Threat is Real. Good song, title track, really good song. What else we got here? Death from Within, Bullet to the Brain, Poisonous Shadows. That's a good one. Solid record. Again, I think there's a couple of albums that the band have pumped out over the last decade that, hold up pretty well to some of their classic stuff, I think. That's one of them. I also dig this one. This was kind of their comeback, United Abominations in 2007. All right. This was, for me, the best thing they had done in quite a number of years. And this features, let's get you the lineup on here as well. If I can find that information, if it's not microscopically small, because, again, so many different lineups, I kind of forget who played from album to album sometimes. Shit. Let's just pull it up on the band page, shall we? Because I know folks like this type of information. All right, we got Mustaine, Glenn Drover. That's right, Glenn Drover on lead and rhythm guitars. James Lomenzo, the great James Lomenzo, has played with so many awesome bands. And, of course, Sean Drover. Got the two Drover brothers on here together. I thought this was a very good album. Again, what do you got? Sleepwalker, Washington is next, kind of one of the more popular tunes on here. The title track is great. Gears of War, Play for Blood, You're Dead. Good return to form. Very thrashy album. Saw them on that tour. Enjoyed the hell out of it. And I think I have seen, with the exception of the Chris Poland era, which is the first era, those first two albums, I'm pretty sure I have seen every lineup of this band, save for the very first and save for the most recent with Kiko on lead guitar. All the other ones I have seen live. All right, so where were we? So United Abominations 2007. Next I'm going to go with Endgame, coming in at number 7 from 2009. Along with United Abominations, I believe the strongest of the more modern era Megadeth stuff. Raging album. I think it's heavier than United Abominations. I think the production is spectacular on this album. Again, this album features the first album with Chris Broderick. Okay, and a lot of great tracks on here. All right, Seal with a Kiss, This Day We Fight. That's a good shot of the band right there. I don't know, a lot of good tracks on here. I think I remember when this first came out. I was really into United Abominations, and then this came out, and I was like, wow, I think they actually topped it, right? But definitely those two, my favorites of the more modern stuff. But again, Dystopia is great too. So you can't really go wrong with any of those. Where are we? Number 6. I'm going to go back to 1994 with Euthanasia. Play the hell out of this. Back in the day. Still dig it. The band may be lightening up a little bit on some of their thrash roots. It's still thrashy, but I think it's got more of like a kind of 90s metal feel to it. But some absolutely memorable tracks on here. You got Reckoning Day, Train of Consequences. I just, always dug that song quite a bit. Addicted to Chaos, A Tout le Monde. Classic, right? What else? Elysian Fields, Blood of Heroes, title track, Black Curtains. A lot of good songs on here. Top to bottom, very, very strong. All right, so that's coming at number 6. All right, the top 5 now. These are, this is good stuff here. Countdown to Extinction from 1992. Again, another album that I saw them live on this tour. Played this a lot back in the day. Skin of My Teeth. Killer, Symphony of Destruction, Killer, another classic Megadeth track. Architecture of Aggression, Foreclosure of a Dream. You just can't go wrong with a lot of these songs, right? Sweating Bullets. That trademark Mustaine rasp, right? This guy's got a very unique vocal style. Nobody sounds like him. Title track, Countdown to Extinction, great as well. Psychotron, a lot of great songs on there. Again, that's the band selling a lot of records right around that time. A lot of records. You could probably be safe to say that the Marty Friedman era of the band was by far the best-selling era when you look at overall, album sales, right? Because let's take a look here. Let's see. So that is Countdown to Extinction. So that sold, double platinum, Euthanasia, platinum, Rust in Peace, platinum. All right, so right there you got, also Cryptic Writings, gold. So, Mr. Friedman appeared on some pretty big selling albums, Next up also sold really well. So Far So Good, So What? Okay, another platinum seller, 1988. Saw them on this tour as well, at the Chance Theater in Poughkeepsie, New York, with Sabotage. I know they were also out as opener to Dio on that tour as well. This one features Jeff Young on co-lead guitar. All right, the one and only album Jeff appears on. It's a good one. Maybe a little short, the album itself, but I think some really strong songs. You got Into the Lungs of Hell, and Set the World Afire, Mary Jane, In My Darkest Hour, another top 10 Megadeth song for me. Liar, Hook and Mouth, you got 502, and of course their fun take on Anarchy in the UK by the Sex Pistols. I would have rather have heard another original track, but all in all, good sounding album, fun album. I dig it. Also played the hell out of that when that first came out. Coming in at number 3, this is the debut going back to 1985. Killing is My Business, and Business is Good. Maybe not as refined as they would become on the albums to follow, but there is a raw, primal fury of this album that I think can't be denied. That when I first bought this, I was all over, because I was just all over thrash metal at this point in time. Everybody's listening to Slayer and Metallica, folks who listen to Venom, and then eventually Overkill and Anthrax and Testament and Exodus, and all those great bands, and Megadeth was one of them as well. Last Rites, Love to Death, right? The title track, Skull Beneath the Skin, Rattlehead, right? Looking Down the Cross, Mechanics, These Boots, Chosen Ones, all really strong stuff. All really strong. Fast and Furious with some killer guitar work from Chris Poland and Mustaine as well. Chris Poland, hell of a player. All right, number 2, number 1 and number 2, it would not surprise me that for most folks these are going to be the top 2 favorites. It all depends on what order you put them in. 1, I'm going to lean to just ever so slightly, because the album meant so much to me when it came out. Again, we talk about that a lot on the show, about how certain albums, when they come out at certain points and times in your life, they just latch on to you, and it represents a special time in your life. And even though there may be other records, other songs, other bands that are technically might be a little bit better, and you may doubt yourself for picking the other, you can't deny that specialness, that bond that you have with music from certain eras, right? Because of when they entered your life. So, in saying all that, my number 2 is going to be 1990's Rust in Peace, which, like I said, I know for a lot of people is going to be their favorite. Technically, it's a pretty brilliant album. It's just as much a thrash classic as it is a very great, almost progressive metal album. The musicianship on this album is absolutely off the charts. This is the Mustaine, Nick Menza, Dave Ellison, and Marty Friedman. First album of that configuration. And, compositionally speaking, it's hard to top a lot of this stuff, right? It's just, this album is just an absolute steamrolling wrecking ball from start to finish. Holy War's The Punishment Due, Hangar 18, Take No Prisoners, right? Five Magics, Poison Was the Cure, Lucretia, Lucretia, however the hell they say that. Tornado of Souls, another top 10 Megadeth song, right? Dawn Patrol, Rust in Peace, Polaris. It's just the intricate riffs of this album, the blazing solos on this album. All right, the catchiness in the material, but the challenging arrangements, just all, I mean, everything just kind of fell into place here, and it probably remains one of the '90s, most important heavy metal releases. Okay. For me, however, the number one, inching that one out just a little bit, of course, is from 1986, Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? One of my favorite albums from that time period, definitely from that year. Like I said, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And, there's just so many songs on here that are just a very important part of that history in my life as a young music fan, and more importantly, a young metalhead. And, Wake Up Dead, my favorite Megadeth song of all time. The Conjuring, Kills, the title track is amazing. Devil's Island. Good Morning, Black Friday. The devil on the wall for Black Friday. I mean, come on, it's just, I think about these songs. I'm reading off the track list, and I remember, and I was in college at the time, and just everybody was listening to this album. Bad Omen, Ain't Superstitious, with very cool cover, but I would have rather heard another original. I know they like to drop in covers every so often. And, My Last Words, great. And the just kind of the raging rhythms on this album, the neck-snapping madness of this album, just for me, is just, incredible. Just incredible. Gar Samuelson, Dave Mustaine, Dave Ellefson, and Chris Poland. A thrash metal classic. Originally on Combat Records. There you see the logo before. So yeah, that's my favorite Megadeth album of all time. So let me recap this. So coming in at number 1, we're going to go Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? Number 2, Rust in Peace. Number 3, Killing Is My Business, But Business Is Good. Number 4, So Far, So Good, So What? Number 5, Countdown to Extinction. Number 6, Euthanasia. Number 7, Endgame. Number 8, United Abominations. Number 9, Dystopia. Coming in at number 10, 13. Coming in at number 11, Cryptic Writings. Number 12, The System Has Failed. Number 13, The World Needs a Hero. 14, Supercollider. And coming in dead last at number 15, Risk, which is probably a risk they should not have taken. But hey, almost every band has a couple weak ones in their discography. It's just the way of the world. You can't hit a complete home run every single time out, although there have been bands who have done that, right? God, two that come to mind, for me, I think more recently, Rival Sons and Black Country Communion, neither one has released a bad album. All of their releases are top-notch. But, when you're looking at bands who have been around for a long, long time, I mean, yeah, most have a dud or two, at least, in their discography, So, but anyway, that's a story for another day. Possibly a idea for another show, all right? Bands that did not have a dud in their catalog. We'll see. Anyway, you know how it goes, guys. List your Megadeth favorite albums, your top 5, your top 10. You want to rank them all. Remember, we all hear these differently, so there's no right or wrong answer here, right? So there are some of you who are going to love some of the ones that are on the bottom of my list, and that's totally cool, right? Because, you like to think that every band makes all these albums that hopefully will appeal to someone. And some people may love some people may despise some of them. It's just the way it goes. Some people may feel indifferent about them. So, like I said, no right or wrong answer, so just have a little fun discussing Megadeth and some of these classic albums, right? Rank them as you like them, as we say here, and visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. What do we got coming up, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. Coming up this weekend, tomorrow actually, getting together with Jack Toledano, coming on the show once again. We're going to tackle our top 10 favorite songs, each from German metal legends, except, all right, also coming up this weekend, hopefully I can fit all this in, we are going to rank the studio albums of Chicago, the Terry Kath years, all right, so forget all that 80s pop and schlock. We're doing the late 60s and the 70s stuff, all the real essential rock and Chicago stuff, featuring the supreme guitar playing of the late guitar legend Terry Kath. That's coming up. Ranking the studio albums. Motorhead. Everybody's asked for Motorhead. You're getting Motorhead this weekend. Ranking the studio albums from progressive rock legends. Camel. That's also coming up this weekend. If I can fit anything else in, I will. I may get some new product review stuff because I got a couple new CD thingies that I'm listening to that I want to review for you. So that might be coming up as well. But I think that'll keep us pretty busy for the weekend. Also coming up next week, Jeff Young's coming back on the show. We're going to rank the studio albums of Fleetwood Mac. All right. My brother, Rich Pardo, is coming on the show. We haven't ironed out a date yet. We were hoping to do it this weekend, but it's not looking like that might happen, but we'll see. Maybe next week. He and I are going to rank the studio albums of Dream Theater and Symphony X. So all this stuff is coming up over the next week or so. All right. Also, I almost forgot. My good friend. It'll be his first time appearing on the show. I've wanted to have him on here forever. My good friend Steve Fleck is going to come on the show. We are going to do top 10 song shows for Toto and 38 Special. That's coming up too. And I know a lot of you have asked. I've added it to my to-do list. I'm not sure exactly when I'll get to it, but we've got a lot of people asking for Dire Straits. I'm going to rank the studio albums of Dire Straits also sometime over the next couple weeks. So it's on my agenda, right? There's so many more things. Oh, also, the debut of The Monster's Den. Going to review a cool old monster horror film. That's the debut of that's coming up this weekend. I'm not going to divulge which one it's going to be yet because I still haven't decided. I've got today and tomorrow to figure it out, but I know the two that I'm looking to choose from. So that'll be this weekend as well. So, and I'm hoping to do that at least once a week going forward. So as you can see, a lot of stuff happening here. A lot of stuff. So for all of you, which I'm sure is most of you who are home, working from home, hanging at home, maybe not working, but because of the coronavirus and the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff, everybody's at home. Everybody probably has extra time on their hands. So strap yourself in, get yourself some snacks and an ice cold drink, and be prepared for lots of hopefully enjoyable music musings here on the Sea of Tranquility channel. All right. And if you're a horror and monster fan, we got a little bit of that too coming up this weekend. So stay tuned. Don't touch that dial, and we'll see you real soon. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.